But kind of moving back to that whole new media loophole, like I said, the laws for that, it's like there are no laws for it. They were trying to promote more of that technological advancement. Is why they're so lenient with it. They're so lenient with new media, and because of that, again, that just bypassed all of the rulings from, like I said, the ruling from the U.S. versus Paramount in 1948. Now feature films can literally be shown across computers and streaming, and again, now they're trying to get rid of cable.
Right, but it's
kind of
funny.
the same sort of way with that, to go purely through internet. So you stream through your TV, which your TV is now acting as a computer, which is considered new media.
I think that leads us into the next thing. It's like, where does that leave TV?
Yeah.
Like Comcast. I think, was it you who brought it up that they have all these film streaming services, but you could bundle them like cable.
It's essentially
Same thing, but it's
there are a couple. I've only seen a couple services that are trying to bundle like that, but I mean, you're still going to be paying the same.
The only difference is that you get to choose when you watch it, right?
Well, you can do that on cable right now. You have to record.
That's true. That's
the only difference between it, and I think it matters, and why this whole new media thing has gotten kind of out of hand with it is it has to do with how it goes out. Because like I said, old media as opposed to new media, they include analog television, but it doesn't technically count cable, but the analog might consider cable as part of the old analog system as old media, because it is outdated, is a little bit older, regardless of it being connected to services like Comcast, which offer both cable and the internet. So if it has to do with the channels that they use, or the methods that they use, it's like, well, analog versus digital. Like, there are different separations for that, but it's essentially the exact same thing, because you're still getting the same content. Well, it's very, very strange, and again, what does that mean for cable TV? Are they trying to get phased out? And I've heard other people say that too, like cable TV is just, television is just going kaput.
Right, because usually when you go and get cable, you buy a package, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you get a certain amount of channels, and a certain amount of channels are different distribution companies.
Yeah.
And for people who are buying streaming services, are they gonna really want to buy, like, say, like the smaller companies? Like, oh, we got Netflix, we got Disney, we got Hulu, we got HBO, but are they gonna want to buy, like, PBS? Are they gonna want to buy, like, Discovery?
Well, look at Hulu. Look at Hulu. Hulu's been rehashing out to do TV and releasing episodics per week. Now Disney Plus is doing that with their series. They're doing they're recreating the model. They're literally recreating the wheel without actually being counted as all these antitrust, to be counted underneath all these antitrust laws that prevent them from monopolizing it. Right in front of us.
Because it's new media.
Because it's considered new media.
New media doesn't have those standards set in place yet, so there's a lot of loopholes that they can do.
Yeah.
Again, when are we going to bring in those standards for new media? It's been quite a while. Enough time for us to get our footing.
Yeah. So that's kind of been the discussion of why we're trying to get the awareness out there, especially to indie filmmakers. Because again, the studios, they want to own you because it just gives them more power over it. And if they own you, and I think we've had this discussion as well. We know a filmmaker out here who had most of their movie made. It was kind of was it a sci-fi
Which
type of movie?
filmmaker? Because there was a couple that we knew that got.
Yeah, I know, but they had cut a deal with a station to finish making their movie. I think I put film and movie together and came up meal for some reason. Anyway, but they wanted the studio, of this TV studio, to essentially collab with them and fund the second half of their movie. And they made a pretty cool trailer for it. Yeah. And what happened? They asked, "Is it done?" And he said, "No, we're looking for funding to get the other half of it." And what happened is they went, oh, we would have bought it if it was done. But since it's not, now you have to, if you want us to come in here, and this is exactly the game that they play, you have to make all these changes to the story. We want to see it this many times. We want to see this if you're a creature or whatever you got in there this many times, this often, etc., etc. And now they control the creative content.
You lose all your creative control as an indie
Absolutely.
filmmaker at that point.
Yeah.
You know, and then you don't really get to showcase your skills and your stories, you know?
Yep. You become a cog in the machine.
And here is
and a very small cog.
Here is our how we go from A to Z, you know, in their story, instead of showcasing your skills and showcasing your art, you know?
Yep. So I don't know why a lot of people get into film, you know, like their own reasons, but one of my reasons why I did, there's many reasons why I did, was I was tired of seeing films that were just rehashing the old
Here's the same storyline.
Here's the same storyline, just a couple different elements. There were no avenues. Or they'll have like twin films, or they'd have the same concept but just in two different films. You know, it's almost the exact same concept. No different, like very small variations of it, instead of just being creatively open and telling the story that you want to tell. I want it to be like, well, it would have been better to end it this way. It would have been cooler to end it that way. You know, why did they have to make this decision? It's breaking character. It doesn't even make sense. It's not adding a separate dimension to them. It's just terrible. You know, so that was one of the reasons, one of many reasons why I got into film and storytelling, was because of that. It's like I wanted that freedom to go, hey, there are better ways to tell stories, you know, and there's better steps that you can take in the storytelling process to just make it overall just better. You know, eliminating plot holes, eliminating like these weird moments that don't technically fit in, or just throwing people for a loop or using gimmicks as opposed to actual good storytelling to tell a story.
Go back to the art of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Go back to the old school
Thank
movies. You know, why did I love 80s horror movies? As bad as some of them can get, but their stories are just pretty interesting and cheesy, and they're on their own beat. You know, they all have their own characteristics and their own personalities. And yes, I can say that about a movie because I've seen enough of them. But I want to see that. I don't want to see the same horror movie again that I've seen in the past decade, that I've seen like dozens of them that are all the same. I'm tired of seeing movies that are... So I'm going to speak of horror because I've been watching a lot of horror or fantasy. I'm tired of seeing movies that are the same, where it takes like about practically more than half of the movie to get to any good stuff, right? I'm tired of it being super slow, and then it's like, oh, super chaotic, and here's climax, and it's gone. Climax for like 5 minutes, and then it's gone. You know.
We won't mention specifics. But there
are too many.
Like it's a trend. That's why.
There are too many to name off, and it's not even just horror. Like I've seen it with like drama. I guess like slice of life. Yeah, it's kind of their style, but
it's funny because like all the newer, whenever these movies start going little off to make their own stories, they drive that into the ground and then making them cliche because they've driven it into the ground. Right? That's just kind of how it goes. That's how you get all these weird trends. And I really hope they move out. Especially in the horror genre. I've talked about this on some of the forums. It's like, stop. Yeah, the premise was strong. It was great. It was a new idea, but the execution for it was terrible because 2/3 of your movie was all set up and there was no meat to it. It's like going, hey, 2/3 of your entire sandwich is just bread. You know, next of the
it's just a bag of chips. That's like, what it is.
Yeah, it's like a bag of chips.
But it's not all that in a bag of chips. It's just a bag of chips.
The bag of chips.
Where it's like mostly air and then like a little bit of chips. You know?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like...
sometimes you get the Takis where it's a little spicy. Like, it really catches your attention, but there's just too much air in there.
Yeah. But that's a whole other discussion that we could have about it. I know that we're going a little off topic, but yeah, we wanted to talk out against the whole vertical integration of Hollywood and how that's coming together. Again, tech is already trying to do it. There's already lawsuits against big tech. You know,
tech
that's
is also going into filming too.
Well, it is part of it. New media is considered
Apple's got
part of it.
Apple TV.
Apple's got TV. Yeah, when is Google going to start heading over there?
What is it that we were at a tech company and we were shooting an episodic for them?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if we can really talk about that too much.
No,
but,
no, we can't. We're
but
we're
it's
on
still
NDA with that.
it's still tech going into doing entertainment.
Yep.
Basically, it's the same thing.
That was, I believe, no, it wasn't internal. No, it was internal. It was internal, which is why we can't talk about it. But yeah, they are doing that to disseminate their information, not just in there. And I know some tech companies are trying to do the commercial side, but again, it goes way beyond that and how it relates, because again, the two biggest industries in California are tech and film. And I believe it was, at least in 2017, 2016, 2017, 2018, film and entertainment, excluding the music industry. So including gaming, excluding the music industry, was the number one industry in the U.S. So you got those things working for us, and then all of a sudden you get all these giant studios, which are just like oligarchies in themselves, like that, controlling it all. And then again, they started paying creators less and less and less. It is a fact. It is a fact. I think what's the Amazon distro for Amazon Prime? It's like 12 cents per unique view on Amazon Prime, and the unique view counts as one person's account watching it. So one person's account, say this person watched your film 50 times, since you've put it on this, since they got it, that will count as one unique view.
12
and
cents. That's it.
12 cents. You will get a total of 12 cents for 50 views. And which is why, again, streaming platforms, say like Netflix or Hulu or all these ones, can flub their numbers. They can give you, no. See, we didn't do that well. But they're still making thousands, if not millions of dollars on having that library, which includes your content. And you're just getting just a flat fee.
You know why they flub the numbers? Because they used to flub their viewings in theaters when theaters were open. Like, they would buy out the seats.
Yeah.
And be like, this many people went to go see this movie. Where they would be like, this many people went to go see the movie. When actually they just bought out the seats to make it seem like people bought the seats. To build that, audience.
That's the other shady side of, like, the Oscars and whatnot, and these big, in, like, LA and New York and stuff like that. Yeah, in LA and New York, that was a practice. In order to gain notoriety and to raise prestige, studios would actually book out, the theater, bulk a single buy. Theater, bulk buy, kind of, bulk buy seatings to go, oh, look, it's sold out. It's sold out in theaters. What are you talking about? It's because they bought all the seats.
Tactic?
It is a shady marketing tactic, and it happened all the time. Look, they sold out in theaters. No, you bought the theater. You bought that theater to showcase yours, and most of it was bought back by anybody that was there. Like, a lot of them were their own people, going to go watch the film that they already bought the seats for. So, yeah, it sold out to the theaters because the studios fed the money. And again, it's like, this is that whole BS game that they like to play.
But that bulldozes over all the other films that are in there, indie or not, and even when it comes to smaller theaters, the mom and pop theaters that are struggling right now, just kind of bulldozes that. Yep.
And this is why it's important to know your industry. This is why we want to get more of that out there as creators. And again, big tech doing a lot of this stuff. I mean, YouTube and other ones like that are having their own versions of it. This is why it's important to understand all that. It does all tie together because they're making similar moves. Yes, we're on YouTube Live right now, and who knows how long this will actually be up because of that. But it's not just that, but even Facebook Live,
Well, Instagram Live right now.
Instagram Live right now, too. I mean, all these companies own each other. All these giant tech companies own each other, and it's the exact same. Yeah, it's the exact same way that the film industry is owned. It's the exact same way as the music industry is owned. But that we are going in that direction, and you're wondering why the music industry is actually failing. That you get how much I saw on a post when I reposted that video. Someone's like, "Oh, man, 12 cents per unique view. Man, that would kill in the music industry because they get per unique listen, it's like 0.01
Oh my gosh,
something, like
is that real?
13 something. Yeah, I can pull up the number on it, and it's like, oh, that's how much they get.
Goodness.
Yeah, it is worse, and that's where we're headed. It's nothing new. It's the same place.
Why are our artists struggling? You know,
Yeah, everything else to keep you
unless
under their
you're
thumb.
already in the game.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just so
It's a
ridiculous
play to
with
play.
it. It is a pay to play. A lot of it is pay to play, which is ridiculous. You know, you're already paying to
So
play
many-
by making your film, which may cost, you know, upwards of $100K out of your own pocket. We've heard of people who dropped $100K of their own money because they wanted to be a filmmaker. They had a story to tell. I think that was one guy that was out here who did that. He's like,
people.
yeah, but I think that was one guy we're talking about before, and he's like, oh, I dropped $100K. He's like, he saved it up. You think, I don't know if he was like an engineer or something.
Which
So he was one of the guys who got his film distributed after 2 years of making it,
okay.
of trying to get distribution. And that's the thing too. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, I know a lot about distribution. It's like, no, you just handed it off to your distributor, and they got you distribution.
This is why I
Yeah.
said read these contracts and really, you know, research them so that you can become familiar with it. You don't have to be like an expert at it. That's what your entertainment lawyer is for.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Exactly, but anyway, his story was that he dropped $100K of his own saved money to make a film that he was really passionate about. Couldn't get distributed for like 2 years, and when he finally got distributed, it was on Hulu. And we took him off to the side and was like, "Hey, you know, I just had a question for you because I'm pretty sure I know the answer, and I want to ask for direct numbers, but I guarantee you didn't get any of that money back to recoup your $100K that you lost." He's like, "Nope. Not even half." I think he even said not even a quarter. He didn't even get a quarter of what he got back, what he spent on the film itself. So you are paying to play. They want you to pay more, and that's completely ridiculous, I think, because if you got a product and it's a good product and you've put money into it and effort and time and effort, why not be able to showcase that out? Why get restricted by all these big by the all tech companies, by all these big, which they are kind of tech companies now, the big studios for that to showcase your product? Why is that? Is this not a free market? And that's the kind of whole idea behind capitalism. You have a product that you've made, you want to share that with the world, and then let the world decide whether it's good or not. Not these gatekeepers, and that's why I really
These algorithms that don't even allow these films to even be seen
Or searched.
or even music,
Yep.
indie music. You know.
Yep. Yeah, we are the ones, and that's the, like you kind of brought it back to the whole GameStop thing. We, the people, have that power. We drive that. Why are they the ones that have to do that and restrict us? Because we could have a great idea for it that many people would resonate with. Nope, not unless you get their approval. And that's why you get this whole thing of like the gatekeepers. And then you get this whole weird stigma in the film industry where actors and filmmakers, crew, and everybody thinks the only way you'll make it is if you go to Hollywood. That's just straight incorrect and false. Especially since you got these, and again, they're edge cases, stuff like Blumhouse, or, you know, like making, it was people that made the Blair Witch, right? Because they knew how to market. They didn't pay as much as, like, say, $100K for Blair Witch. Blair Witch, again, I love using that just because it was started out as an indie, and they raised $12K for it. They spent $12,000, which is as big as many other filmmakers do for their Indiegogo campaigns or Seed and Spark campaigns to raise money for fundraising for their films, and then they'll exceed. They did it with $12K. But they did it right, and they marketed it right, and they got people to see it because they wanted to see it. You know, so again, why are these gatekeepers the only ones that get to decide that? You know, but that was kind of the idea behind the Deadpool released, the test footage that was leaked. It was leaked. Yeah, it wasn't leaked. Yeah, well, it was leaked, but
Come on, Ryan.
it was. Yeah. Well, I think they did an interview with him and the director, and it was like, yeah, somebody knew. Nobody was saying they were gonna do it.
Strategic leak.
Yeah, nobody said they were gonna leak it, but we knew somebody was gonna leak it, and it forced Marvel, because Marvel was not interested in making an R-rated superhero film. It forced them to do it. Because now that information was out there, they turned to proof of concept, which is proof of concept is a single scene, right? It's not a trailer because trailers are harder to film. Proof of concept is a single scene in a movie to show the tone, the style, and the storytelling, the pacing, a lot of these things. Proof of concept turned into something called a proof of content. They have content that is proof by the audience, you guys and all of us, to show, hey, there is an audience for it. You should distribute this. So, Ryan Reynolds can do it. So
those are the things topics that we can talk about, like proof of concept,
Yeah, yeah, and how it can be used to help up your marketing, and then give you. I always call it's not buying power. That's more on the other side of, like, say, inflation, but sellability, so you can sell it. Right, you're selling power that you've got for that, bumping up that prestige by having a theatrical release, all that sort of stuff. So, so many different things that go in here. But essentially, that is how Hollywood utilizes the new media loophole, and how they're continuing to make these power moves to essentially just gain more power, because it's an addiction. It's an addiction for them, right? They will always want more power. They don't care about the little guys. They don't care about indie filmmakers. They're always trying to, put a front out of, like, we care. No, they don't. In fact, we've known that, like when say Disney bought out ILM, for or Lucasfilms up north, a lot of that culture that was there that George Lucas helped build,
we care,
went down.
But here's a grape for lunch.
Yeah, that's essentially what it's like. Not saying that actually happened, but that culture went down because they didn't care. They didn't need them. They just needed the name, and that's why you hear stuff like, oh, they're trying to move. I think was it last year, the year before, where they're trying to move LucasArts or Lucasfilm or ILM to, like, Australia or something like that.
Yeah,
they don't care.
But why do you think they need that name? It's because people,
selling
the
power.
Audience awareness of that name. Right?
Yep.
When it goes back to filmmaking, when they ask who is on the project, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which name person do you have on your project that's well known? Because again, audience awareness is what you need. Those are your consumers.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just I find it sickening that they're just open about it. They don't care anymore, and because they're so open about it, like, and not even being sneaky about it at all, they were literally doing press releases about this, going, oh yeah, we're gonna focus purely on stream. We're pulling back on all our DVD sales. We're not doing them anymore. Hey, we're no longer distributing to theaters, or we're gonna do same day. We'll do it just cause, just in case, because theaters are technically still covered under the antitrust case and that ruling. But you know what? We're still gonna do our same day. We'll see who wins out, because this is where all our money's going, and this is where people are spending for the streaming. It's just, to me, it's just sickening, man. Because, I got into film. One of the other reasons I got into film was I was an IT guy. I was doing IT, and to me, it never gave me a creative outlet. And I was a pretty creative kid, growing up. It was very technical, and it was almost purely technical. And it's like after doing that for about 5 or 6 years, it was just like, I can't do this anymore. I love being technical, but without having some sort of fulfillment in the career that I want to be technical and creative, at the same time, it's not going to work for me. It just felt like, it almost felt like dying inside every day, just doing, like, here I am, dude. The whole cliche of, like, I am a drone every day, everybody's doing the same sort of movement. It's like that's what it felt like, So that's why I got into film. I got the creative side and the technical side, and it was a great combination of the two. So, take that away, what else we got? This is why I'm really passionate about filmmaking. There's many reasons why I'm passionate about it, but that's one of the big ones. I love having that technical side and the creative side. Now you have people telling you can't do either of those. You have to follow our rules. No, I don't think so. Hey, thanks for checking out my video on here. If you like the content that I'm putting out, please be sure to like and subscribe down below and add a comment, because I'd love to see what your guys' thoughts are on this sort of content and these topics that I'm putting out there. Alright, until next time, stay golden.